Hello, everyone. Welcome to Living with Intention Live. I am April Wyatt and your host, and I am so excited for this conversation because I don't know about you, but there has been a lot of dysregulation, a lot of confusion, a lot of disruption, right, in our lives, in the world, and we've seemed to have lost the clarity or direction of where we want to go. And it's because life is asking us to fill every space that we have. If through our calendars, our minds are busy and moving from different conversations to the next. And somewhere in all of that, it becomes harder to hear ourselves. And so we don't have that much space to really lean in and listen. And so this is one of the reasons why I'm bringing forward this conversation today, right? About clarity, right? Clear mind, clear direction, and then learning to trust ourselves and making those choices. And one of the things that I love to do is bring people together and have a space to really pause so we can rise above the noise. And with that, I have my Bali retreat that I'm offering. We do have just a few spots left, and it is in October, so you have over a month to plan and to book your tickets and all of that. But really, it's not about getting there, it's about when you arrive, how you feel the land, how you connect with yourself and with others. That is part of this amazing retreat experience, as we're going to discover more about movement, right? We are so sedentary and we don't move enough. So moving our bodies, having a connected breath work, and it's just not all about that either. It's about the cultural experiences that we'll explore. As you can see, that bottom picture is of the waterfall experience that we hike up to. And these pictures are directly from the last Bali retreat that I held in 2024. So it's an immersion experience. This is actually a VIP experience because it's such a small group and you have one-on-one access with me and my fellow support person, Antonia Andrews. And we are going to just receive more of ourselves. We're going to laugh, we're going to have fun, and we're going to go a little deeper. So if you have gone to weekend retreats and just felt like, yes, that was wonderful, and then 2 weeks later you find yourself, you're right back where you were, this experience is going to get you past that point. If you're tired of watching YouTube videos, listening to meditation scripts and things like that, that's not an experience. Your body has to experience things in order to shift, in order to recalibrate your nervous system. And this is the space for it. So again, we just have 3 spots left. There's a QR code on that upper right hand corner. Scan that. That'll take you directly to my website. And you'll get to know more about me, about the work, and more about this amazing retreat. And it's all about community. We come together as strangers and we leave knowing each other. And that's the beauty of it, too, as people are still talking from the last retreat in 2024, which is fun. And since I'm all about community, I also want to do a shout out for Mike Asherbranner and the Hounds of Business. I can see some hounds already here in the chat, and he's always about trust and finding the right room. And this is why I really enjoy being part of the Hounds of Business, because I've met so many amazing people and had deeper conversations. It's just not surface level or transactional. People show up because they really do want to know about you. They want to know about your business and cross promote. So that's the beauty of the Hounds of Business. So I highly encourage you to scan that QR code, reach out to me or DM Mike as he's in the conversation here in the comments. Connect with him, learn more about the Hounds of Business. And through the Hounds of Business, I've met with Jennifer Thompson and your Yadira. There we go. I got her name right. Gonzalez. They're sisters. And they created this amazing magazine that brings people their stories forward because that's how we learn. That's what brings more clarity about ourselves as we connect through people's stories. And they just don't do magazines either. They have a TV show. They also just are launching an anthology that's amazing too. So I highly encourage you to scan that QR code. Check out I Am Magazine. They also have, as you can see, a Spanish edition. They're international. They have thousands of subscribers and they're across the globe. So please check them out and learn more about them. And that's what I'm all about too, is learning more about other people. And as we do and we come together in groups, then we really set our own intention. And I just want to also bring up this lovely, lovely Kindness Worldwide Global Meditation. The next one, my friend Eco Sam and I are hosting it. And we will have it, we will have it on September 27th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is 5 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can scan that QR code or go to the link below to register for any of this year's meditations. And it's really about bringing people together, setting that intention to give and receive kindness. Who doesn't want more kindness? I don't know. If you say no to that, I just don't know what to say. Because we all want that for ourselves, we want that for other people. And that's another reason why I really enjoy giving this free live Living with Intention event, is because wellness expands beyond just diet, exercise, and mental health. It goes far beyond that. And that's why I'm bringing forward these two amazing guests today. Meg Davis, who is a Reiki master, intuitive, and coach, and she helps people reconnect to themselves after years of adapting to expectations and possibly losing touch with their own inner voice. And it's through her own practical wisdom and intuitive guidance, which you'll experience today. She will help you recognize patterns and bring that trust back into yourself so you can move forward with a greater clarity and confidence. And my second guest, who might be experiencing some technical difficulties, so we're going to give ease and grace today if that happens, Melissa Melroy. And she is a transformative life coach and counselor. And she helps people uncover the belief systems I call BS, right? Belief systems that quietly shape the way you think, feel, and respond in life. And so she does that through self inquiry, compassion, thoughtful reflection, as she guides you towards a greater freedom and balance, and really to more of a joyful being, uh, you know, in life in general, right? Because wherever you go, there you are. That's what I always say. So, without further ado, let's bring these amazing ladies up to the stage. Welcome in Meg and welcome Melissa. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, and Melissa, I know you're muted because you had tech difficulties, but if you can unmute and say hello. I think that's where the glitch happens, is with the the mic situation. So, Melissa, you can put, yes,
There we
can you
go.
say something?
Thank you.
Yes, wonderful. Yes, thank you for being here, Melissa and Meg. And so today in our conversation, right, we're talking about
Thank you for
clarity.
having me.
There's a little bit of a delay, and that's okay. Yes. So, clarity, thinking about that. And I'm curious about
Hmm.
how clarity has come into each of your lives. And I'm just going to mute you, Melissa, while Meg talks so there isn't any disruption. Yeah. And so, Meg, that question for you about clarity, was it easy for you to first find that clarity? What
You know,
was,
I found that I tend to get the most clarity as a result of significant challenge, struggle in life. And so having gone through challenges is super rewarding because I love the clarity, I love the authenticity that I get on the other side of that. But it usually comes as a result of some element and even multiple aspects of my life falling apart all at the same time. So I tend to find that for myself and for the people I work with, that if you feel like you're really going through it, you're probably on the right track for big transformation and becoming more of who you really want to be and calling in more of what you really want in life.
oh, that's so true about kind of like the messy middle, right?
Yeah,
We're going
absolutely.
through it. We're
Yeah.
going through it. I can raise my hand to that. I want to hear people in the comments too, please share. Have you experienced that messy middle, that space where you're like, what the heck's going on here? I planned this and now things have turned upside down on me. And so that's when ourselves, source, God, whomever you believe your higher power to be, is
Mhm.
saying, okay, you can now make choices. You can gain more clarity through this messiness. Although
Yeah.
it doesn't, it seems kind of counterproductive at first, doesn't it, when we're in it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, Melissa, I see that you're unmuted. I know that you were experiencing technical difficulties. Uh, if you can share a little bit about clarity and when you found that for yourself or how that happened for you. If you have to turn your video off and then just speak, that's fine too. Don't feel bad about that. Technical challenges happen. We might have to go that route. Yeah. So while Melissa comes back, I want to unpack that a little bit more, Meg, because I know that's what you do. That's your expertise, is helping people regain that awareness of their clarity.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that comes in so many different ways, whether it's kind of like you said in the beginning, whether it's overcoming the expectations that other people or conditioning have put on us, or the beliefs that we've created throughout our lives to keep us safe. And probably they have. They're very effective at keeping us safe, but I think most people tend to find that safe becomes limiting and that they're not able to live as expansively and be the people they really want to be in life, that they really want to be in life. And first, it's gaining clarity about what that even is and giving themselves permission to even step more into that. And then it becomes the how do I even step more into that? How do I even conceptualize what my life would look like if I wasn't so burdened with what I think I need or
Mm.
what other people expect of me or the role that I feel like I need to play in relationships, whether that's personal, professional, romantic.
Yes, I completely agree. And when we start to shake that out, it is about really what do we want
Mhm.
and how have we been conditioned or learned to perform in a certain way to gain approval or to achieve things. And I'm not saying that's bad. It's just things that we learn that we've picked up in our
Mhm.
life that we didn't realize that we were carrying or holding on to. And having this clarity of the choice to choose who we want to be and how we want to move forward. I think that's the beauty of that deeper work. And it's okay not to know, isn't it, Meg?
Yeah, and in fact, I think that that's kind of where authenticity lives the most is in not knowing. Because I find that people that come to see me have at least some concept of like the law of attraction or manifestation. And so with that, they feel like, oh, I need to be very clear about what it is that I want. And there is some truth to that. But I think people get too caught up in what they think it should look like and they don't focus enough on how they want it to serve them in their lives or the role that they want it to play.
Mm-hmm.
So they spend so much time drawing out every little detail of what they think they want that would be the best for them, and it doesn't leave enough space for them to be surprised by God or the universe, like you said, whatever your concept of that higher power is, to come in and surprise them with something that's even better than they could have imagined. And so that's why I really encourage people to focus more on this is how I want this thing that I'm calling in, or this version of myself. This is how I want it to work in my life. This is how I want it to make me feel. But I'm kind of open to how it shows up.
Mm-hmm. And what you said beautifully about the curiosity. And I see you backstage, Melissa. As soon as you get set up, I'll bring you up. But the curiosity is key
Mhm.
because the more we can step back and just allow things to unfold, then we gain more clarity. It might just look something as simple as, oh, hey, Meg, I know this person. I want to introduce you to them. And if we're caught up in our schedules or we think, oh, why would April want to introduce me to Curtis Rivers or, this other person and, not saying yes without curiosity. What
Yeah,
does Curtis have to share with me? Where is this conversation going to take me? Instead of most people, I think, unfortunately, think, what am I going to get out of it?
yeah.
And
And I
it's
see
not that way.
and I see that a lot in professional transitions when people are looking at, I want to have a role professionally that I feel like is more fulfilling, that serves me better, that makes me feel like I'm making the kind of impact or a bigger impact. And I think sometimes people get bound by the common, really conventional job descriptions that they'd find all over Indeed all day, every
Oh,
day.
yeah.
And they don't leave a lot of room for the things that are kind of unconventional or maybe you wouldn't see all over the place, but they have those roles that still exist. And so it's kind of being open to something that finds you or being open to something that is a little unconventional or isn't just bound by what you think is possible and
Hmm.
really just open yourself up to what what the universe has to offer you that might defy expectations. And then then we really come back to expectations. And are they even real? Are they even
Yeah.
actual limitations, or are they just assumptions? And by falling into line with those assumptions, do we shape our reality and play smaller than maybe what we could be?
Mm-hmm. Because our mind only knows what it knows. It can't see
Mhm.
the broader picture. So really, you're looking through a little keyhole of life when curiosity helps to open the door a little bit more so we can receive more.
Yeah.
And I want to open the door for Melissa to come in. And so we're just waiting for her to come up, and that's okay. Yeah. So moving along here, I am really curious, as I say, curious. Okay, so we talked about clarity. So, and we alluded to this a little bit, but what do you feel, Meg, as you're working with your clients and, noticing with yourself too, about what's really kind of getting in the way of obtaining that clarity? Just speak to that a little bit more.
I think there's so many things and it varies so greatly, but a, a big component that I've been seeing a lot lately is permission. Giving yourself permission to grow, to expand beyond the beliefs that, again, have kept you really safe. And I feel like a lot of people are nervous about how to do that, what that would even look like, if that's going to mean that they need to overhaul completely their entire life, or if it's going to call into question big relationships in their lives that they hold very dear. And I don't feel like giving yourself permission to grow and expand and become something that is greater than you thought possible, and certainly greater than you feel like you are now, means that you have to overhaul your entire life. It's really subtle changes that are pervasive. And so it doesn't really require that you have a massive overhaul at all. It's just kind of doing the same things, but looking at it with a different perspective. And it reminds me of my clients that work with me know that I'm a big fan of quotes. And one of my favorites is Dr. Wayne Dyer. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And so you don't even have to do different things. You don't even have to move to a different city and get a whole new job and change the way you look. You can be in the same place that you were, doing the same things that you were, and just kind of looking at it differently, or maybe approaching it differently, or changing the way that you talk about it. And that makes a massive difference in giving yourself permission to step out of what you felt like wasn't aligned, that wasn't serving you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I love that you brought up Dr. Wayne Dyer. I'm a big fan of his too.
Yeah.
And I think also another thing, you say quotes, right? Big quotes for me with clarity and understanding kind of what was getting in the way of mine, as you were saying that, kind of playing small and keeping safe. The big thing for clarity for me was when I read Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth, and he
Mm.
talked about the little voice in your head.
Yeah.
And most people don't talk about it because they're, oh, people think I'm crazy or something. We all have some commentary happening in our
Yeah.
minds, whether we're aware of it or not. And when I read that, I was like, oh my gosh, I do have that little voice in my head.
Yeah.
And what is it saying? Is it positive? Is it uplifting? Or is it fear based? You're either into love or fear, open or closed.
Yeah.
That's it. When it boils all down to it, that's what it is. So when we have that curiosity of okay, well, what are my thought patterns right now? What I'm waking up in the morning. What's the first thing that pops into my mind? We can change those thought patterns. We can
Mhm.
reprogram that through neuroplasticity. And it's so fascinating to me until you take your last breath. That's accessible. You can change that.
Mhm.
So it's really important for us to know that we're not what our mind says we are.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah. When we
Yeah.
were 10 and we were thinking about something, is that the rest of our life? I'm being honest with you. When you were 20, was that the rest of your life? No. And just being open and knowing that we are creating our life through our thoughts and that. Yes, I know that you have something to say about that, Meg.
Yeah. So, and I often work with people that have multiple voices that they aren't sure if it's fear, is it intuition? Um, and so I really work with people to help them build their relationship with their own intuition. So we all have an intuition, and I liken it a lot to professional sports or professional music, where you either are, everyone can pluck some guitar strings or throw a basketball up at a hoop, right? And some people are naturally gifted to be able to do that better than the vast majority of the population, and some people are just work hard enough to develop their skill set. But everybody has the ability to tap into their intuition. And so I work with people on building a greater relationship with themselves and that internal voice, and discerning the difference between, is this fear is a big feeling that people get confused. Is this my intuition? Is this fear? So I work with people on discerning the difference between those two. And again, it really comes down to how it feels in your body, I think, is the biggest tell as to whether this is intuition that I'm feeling, or if it's some other emotion that I'm getting this confused with, so that you can start to develop a greater knowing of, my analogy is always, we all have cell phones now, but when we had landlines before caller ID, you would pick up the phone and be able to know who was speaking to you just by the sound of their voice. And so
Yes.
building your relationship with your intuition is a lot like that. You can start to just know that it's your intuition that's talking to you based on how it feels in your body, what it sounds. Intuition whispers, fear yells, so what's the volume of this?
Mm.
How subtle is it?
Say
So
that again. I want you to repeat that again.
so intuition whispers and fear yells.
Yeah.
So if something inside you is screaming at you, there's a good chance that it's fear, or that it's indicating that there's a significant risk or a misalignment in front of you. And that's important to listen to. That's happening for us for a reason. But it's also important to know if that's happening for us because, like you said, if there's belief systems that are triggering that response, or if it's something that we can look at and say, thank you for alerting me to this danger. But actually, I've assessed it and it's not a danger anymore. And I feel really called intuitively to go in this other direction that I've also assessed and feel pretty good about the risk that is potentially there for me, and that I can manage it no matter what happens. I'll find a way.
Mm. And just even shifting, you just shifted the script. That's what I call, yes, I'm acknowledging this fear or this pattern
Yeah.
that we've learned from past experiences. And as you said, somatically, we feel it in our bodies. And
Mhm.
that sensation, as our nervous system is activated, then it feels like, oh, I have to be cautious or aware or that type of thing, but really being curious of how did that come up? Where did it come from? Where am I feeling it in my body?
Yeah.
My body's just signaling to me because these sensations then trigger or activate a thought. Oh, I felt this way before. I need to be careful. Or here I go. I'm gonna spiral into this depression, and then as you say, as you speak, the body's going to respond to that too. So it's so important for us to remember that just because those sensations show up, those are echoes.
Yeah.
It's not reality of what's happening right now. And it's very, that awareness you have to practice. You have to dial it in a little and a little at a time. It doesn't happen overnight. And I believe, and wouldn't you say the same thing, Meg?
With women, especially, I mean, really all kinds of people, but especially women that are wondering if kickboxing is for them. And I certainly know that when I started training, it really made me question the things that I always thought were limitations for myself because it turns out they weren't actually there. And it was really easy to measure the transcendence of a physical limitation. And then it made me wonder, well, if I'm capable of doing that in the physical world, I wonder if I'm capable of doing that in other areas of my life. And so it's a really good tether to something that is tangible, that is measurable, and being able to associate that with the non-physical growth that we're making. And they're all happening simultaneously, but it's kind of a good checkpoint for us because we are such a physical, see it to believe it kind of society. It's a really good checkpoint for us to be able to have something that we can quantitatively measure.
And that's the beauty of our mind. Our mind wants to know, right? It wants the results.
Yeah.
When the trust is like a free fall, and trusting in, it's okay to feel uncertain or not to have the answers, but knowing that we are worthy of more. Having that awareness that there is more to life than what we're facing right now. Right now, as you said, a law of attraction. For those who are law of attraction fans, we're living the end result of thoughts that we had previously. That's what today is. So if we want change, if we want to shift a little bit, then simply, redirect. Stop rowing the boat upstream, so to speak. We work so hard. I want you to speak to that too, Meg. People that work so hard and they're checking off the boxes, they're doing all these things to obtain something more, but they feel that they're just not in that direction. What do you say to those people?
I see this a lot with high performers and high achievers that I work with. And so I really like to encourage them to stop and take kind of an inventory. Is is it truly that your life feels misaligned? That these things that you thought would make you happy don't actually? Um, and maybe that's true, but also, is it just that these things actually do create happiness for you, but the way that you think about them needs an adjustment? And so I find this a lot with high achievers feel like they need this almost crippling amount of pressure in order to perform. Or they set a goal for themselves, and then as soon as they reach it, oh, the goal's up here now. And they never take time to celebrate and give themselves credit for how far they've come or to feel gratitude for what they've accomplished for themselves. And so sometimes it's changing the direction, sometimes it's finding a new path, And sometimes it's just creating more space to be grateful for and to celebrate the small things along the way that make the path that you're currently on feel like how you always wanted it to feel. Because maybe that is the path that you're supposed to be on, but it's giving yourself permission to feel good about it, to have celebrations along the way. And it's funny because when I work with people that aren't used to doing that, they're like, "Oh, you want me to throw a party all the time?" It doesn't have to be something big. It certainly can be, but sometimes it's just a minute or two of sitting with the feeling of how good it feels of
Mm,
having accomplished that.
yeah,
And
I
sometimes that's
agree.
celebration enough.
Exactly. Uh, and I share, for those who aren't familiar with my background, you described me to a T, Meg. As I used to call myself the little red hen. And in this children's book, there was a little red hen that lived on a farm and she wanted to make bread. So she asked all the other farm animals, each and every one, will you help me plant the wheat? And the pig said, not I. The cow said, not I. The duck said, not, everybody was like, no, no, no. Who will help me harvest the wheat? Same response. Who will help me mill the wheat? Right. And then finally she got to the point to eating the bread. And of course, everybody said, oh, yes, I'll help you eat the bread. But in my story, I would say, kind of pridefully, oh, I'm the little red hen, right? I don't ask for help. I just keep doing it because growing up, there was no one, no support for me. I had to do everything myself. And I don't hold anything against my parents or siblings. It's just how I learned myself. My little 5-year-old mind made that up that I needed to do it this way. And it wasn't until about 3 years ago where I realized, as I said, I'm the little red hen, that I realized she sat down and ate the bread. So, like you said, Meg, to celebrate, to appreciate our accomplishments, I never did. Symbolically, I would take the bread out of the oven, put it on the table, and then what's next, right?
Mhm,
Next, on to the next goal, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. And I never sat down to eat the bread.
mhm.
So now I am. And let me tell you, it was a little uncomfortable at first of, oh, I should really pause here. How do I even celebrate myself? Because no one even acknowledged that when I was growing up. It was, oh, you're done with your chores? Okay, now here's the next thing to do. You can't get your allowance until you get all this done. And
Mhm,
then even when I got it all done, I didn't get my allowance sometimes. And then that deflated me. So yes, that high performance.
yeah.
And that's what I talk about in the recalibration experience. That's what we walk through in that and recognizing the patterns and things that show up in our lives. And I can see Melissa doing her best to get back in here with us. We'll bring her up in a moment. But yes, just speaking to that, Meg, and how people are conditioned or to keep going. And even in the sport that you're in, don't you see that a lot too? With people striving and wanting to be their best, or is it different?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's driving you to your best is really important to consider because is it not enoughness, which is just an epidemic in our society, that we don't have enough, that we aren't enough, that so is it that that's pushing you forward, or is
Mm.
it that you're curious about, I just wonder if I can do this. I wonder if this is for me. I wonder if I was always told that ladies don't do this or that you shouldn't train in something that looks like fighting um, or is it just that you Hi, Melissa. Or
I
is
know
it
she's trying to
just
make
that
us.
you are feeling like you're not enough without this? Because if you're feeling not enough without this, there's not going to be anything in the world outside of yourself that's going to fill that void. But
Mm.
if you're just curious whether or not you can do it, I think that's the best motivator to drive you forward.
Yes, curious to receiving more of you. That's what it's all about. That's what
Yeah,
we're
and
doing here.
curious to pushing limitations. Yeah.
Yes, without judgment. And speaking of without judgment, hello, Melissa. So happy you could join us. Look at you. You're moving, you're speaking. Say something, say hello.
Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. I'm actually on my husband's computer.
That's perfect.
So,
Perfect. There's always a way
oh,
around it. We were
we
talking
tried.
about
Oh, okay, go ahead. Yeah.
clarity. We're talking
Oh,
about
yes.
clarity and performance. And I just want to, for you, I know you're just kind of jumping in the pond right here with us as you're coming back on. As you've worked with people and yourself, right? I think that goes back to the clarity. What did you notice about yourself and how do you support people to gain that clarity?
Oh, the big one for me is paying attention to how I am in the moment of my thoughts, and how I am in my beliefs, and how I am in my actions. And so, everything that I just went through in the last 45 minutes is ample experience. And as an experiencer, it gets you back in a place of clarity. So, with that being said, for me, it's just paying attention to what is going on. Is it discomfort? Is it joy? Where is it? And pay attention to what I can do about it if it is discomfort. And that doesn't mean staying busy or distracted or self harming or anything like this. It means really just being in your body, in your mind. And with that, then there's groundedness and there's peace that comes with that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and now
Hmm.
you can take a breath. You're here. You're
Hmm.
clear on many levels.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I I wasn't sure what I missed, but I have to say I'm just very appreciative for being here and being able to communicate, because this is the time that really works. I've noticed when people are going through different things emotionally or physically, and when you have conversations with them and you can just ask questions. And this is what I like doing, is
Mm.
asking questions, not in an invasive way, but it's just in a way of getting to clarity. Where is it that you're feeling that? What were you thinking before that happened? What are your thoughts about eating that whole bag of potato chips without being judgmental or critical with yourself? Some people just say, I don't know where I was, and that's okay. So just being inquisitive with yourself and giving yourself a break, being kind.
Mm, yes, the kindness. And
Hmm.
Meg was mentioning that too. It's so important for us to just have ease and grace as we go through these messy middles. We were talking about that too.
Hmm.
And realizing this is us realigning, and we have the choice to shift our thoughts, shift our perceptions, and this is how we gain a little bit more clarity, without adding more to it, right? We think because this happened, we have to do more,
Mhm.
and then that creates more chaos in our minds and our body,
Yeah.
and then we can't see clearly. I like to say it's the snow globe effect.
Yes.
So imagine the snow globe, you're the little snowman inside or whatever, and stuff starts swirling. You shake it up, life shakes you up. And then you have all of those snowflakes flying around in your mind. You can't see clearly. And if you just slow down a little bit, not add so much, then the snowflakes start to settle And yeah, there'll be some flakes floating around. There's always going to be thoughts, there's always going to be things coming up. But that's where we can gain a little bit more clarity and start to follow more of a direction instead of being in the fight, flight, freeze, creating more chaos. You
And
see
that
that with
is,
people
yes,
spinning
yes,
spinning out. So please,
absolutely.
everyone, ask questions for Meg and for Melissa here. This is why they're here for you, to help you have a more clear mind and direction. It would be lovely to have somebody just throw something out there to give us some context of what you're going through right now, what kind of clarity you're looking for, what direction you might be needing. Yeah, we are here for you. And so while we're waiting for people to come through and add some little comments or anything of that nature, let's go back to the direction. So once somebody has a little bit more clarity, how would you say that they know that they're headed in the right direction? That's a question, right? They're going to ask, right? Is this the right way for me to go? I feel like I'm in a crossroads that I should either go this way or this way. Yeah, Meg, what do you have to say for people who are questioning about the direction?
I think it goes back to I find when people start to build a relationship with their intuition, they get lost in their headspace. And I love the analogy of having a snow globe moment. You know, they really get lost in this assumption of, oh, I'm gonna see it, or I'm gonna feel it in my head. There's gonna be some sort of sensory experience that happens in my head. But I think it's more important to be in your body and know how it feels in your body. I think that's a really good way to tell which direction I should lean towards if I'm having some confusion, if I should go this way or that way. How does each direction feel in your body? Because probably one of them is going to have more weight, or it's going to be brighter, or it's going to be, you'll recognize it somehow in a way that feels better, that you feel more drawn to, and it won't really have anything to do with your head.
No, it doesn't. It never has anything to do with your head.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Meg. I completely agree with that. How about you, Melissa? What words of wisdom do you have to give to people about direction if they feel that they're at a crossroads, or what's the next step for them?
Get quiet. Hmm. So getting more quiet sometimes will stir things up, but for me and from what I've experienced and how I've helped others is becoming aware of what your thoughts are telling you about yourself, you know, what your beliefs are telling you about yourself. So question these different things. You know, for instance, maybe there was a certain way that you were raised, and so you were raised maybe in a fearful environment. And so I would say that some people, as we get older, don't really know how to check in with themselves. So when we slow down long enough, we can check in with ourselves. And I know for me, it's similar to what Meg is saying. There's an energy. There's an energy when there's I don't want to say right or wrong, but there's two choices. And
Hmm.
I feel a lighter energy with the choice in which direction to go. And I would say that's been pretty true ever since I could remember, ever since I was little. So really listening and also valuing your wisdom, because we are all full of wisdom. And I think again, so important to pay attention to really listening without the judgments and without the criticisms.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, for
Mm-hmm.
sure. It's leaning in and listening, and also I would love for everybody to hear this, that all is welcome also when you start to lean in and listen. These are just the different parts of you. And as Meg was talking about sensing into the body, some things might feel a little heavier, or there might be some lightness, or, just kind of finding that what is all here, even. Because if we've been driven so much in our headspace to do, go, 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 like me, the little red hen, then we're kind of dragging our bodies with us. And then our bodies, then that's people talk about burnout all the time, or overwhelm, or I like to say, people spinning plates, and they're so fearful of slowing down that if they do, that plates will crash, that something will go wrong, that they're not holding everything together, when in actuality it gives you more space to see those patterns, to witness those parts of yourself, and appreciate your body and your mind for keeping you safe. That's what it's all about. The nervous system is just trying to
Mm,
keep you safe. And when you can recognize that, then it's like, oh, that's an old protective pattern. You can name it,
mm,
separate it from yourself, so it's not driving the bus, so to
mm,
speak. Yes.
mhm.
Oh, Melissa, I want to give you a little bit more space to speak as you came in a little late. Anything do you have to say about that before we go into connecting with you both and your last parting thoughts?
I would just say it's very important to be open with yourself and be aware of where your thoughts take you, where your belief structures are. So important to question and then do inquiry around beliefs that cause pain. So we all have beliefs that cause pain. Even with me, all these years later, doing all this work around beliefs. So there are some things that we can really question, like for instance, someone might be not really, they've been told they're not really good at math or doing
Mm.
calculations. And so they might be holding on to this false belief that they've never questioned about themselves before. And maybe it was just the teachers, or the fact that maybe you just have a different way of learning. So again, it's giving ourselves a break, becoming aware, and then becoming willing to move through the discomfort. And of course, there's people that can help you with different psychosomatic and psychotherapy, and there's different coach methods and NLP. There's all sorts of different techniques and practices. I would say also practice with this. For me, I would suggest practicing mindlessness practices, not mindfulness, although I do that. And mindlessness means just sitting with yourself without the thoughts. Now that takes some practice because the people are so busy and again distracted, and maybe they're feeling pain, so they want to not feel. I have to say, feeling is the direction that you want to be. I would say having a whole happy life. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, accepting all of those parts of
Mhm.
ourselves. This is about
Absolutely.
being human and acknowledging. Yeah.
Be curious.
Yes. Meg, do
Mhm.
you have anything to speak to that before then we'll give your contact information.
I really like what Melissa said. I echo that absolutely. And kind of going back to something she said when she was able to rejoin us, is there's so much benefit to having a conversation and to remembering that when feelings come up, they're temporary. And to your point about the snow globe moment, allowing the snow to settle so that you can find clarity, and then reaching out to have a conversation, because I think one of the things that keeps people trapped is feeling like, oh my God, whatever I'm thinking or feeling is totally just me. Nobody else does this. And that kind of isolation can be so limiting. It can be so much of a detriment to us getting outside of patterns that are keeping us stuck. So having conversations and realizing that what you're experiencing is not just you, and the story might differ, but the feelings around it are very human, can help you find the courage to move beyond the things that have been keeping you safe and step out into things that feel unknown.
Hmm. Beautiful advice. Yes, I agree with that 100%. As we're mirrors of each other too, and having somebody to speak with and share, get it out, right? That's also part of the
Mm,
energy expression. We don't have to hold everything in. That's so much
absolutely.
pressure that we place on ourselves.
And create joy.
Yeah.
Create joy, dancing, moving. Look at children. I mean, they're in their bodies. They know how to move and shake and smile and give ourselves time during the day for joy.
Yeah,
Creating that, right? Just this is my time. I'm shutting the door. I'm going to boogie on down, just whatever. Draw mandalas, color,
yeah,
paint.
Yes, creativity is so important because that
Yeah.
creates more space, and when we're in that creative playfulness, as you're saying, Melissa, then that's when expansion happens. That's when we remember who we are and not the fear, that aspect. So, Meg, I know I already have the little banner beneath you about how to contact you. Um, so those who are looking for support, besides your website, right? What will they find there when they log on there?
a little bit more of my story, and then contact information for how to get in touch with me to book a free connection call so that we can look at, of the ways that I help people, is there any that would be beneficial for you? Which ones would be beneficial? Maybe working all of them in together is going to create a more expedited, laser focused approach to growth and healing. So I would love to just have a conversation and see if I can help.
Wonderful. Thank you, Meg, for being here. We so appreciate you for coming in and sharing your wisdom.
Thanks for having
Melissa,
me.
how about you? How do people connect with you? And I have your LinkedIn here, but is there another place?
Place to transform at Gmail. I had a website and chose not to have a website. So now just through word of mouth is a lot of the reasons, and then also through different things I'm part of. If you want to work on belief structure, if you want to work at just questioning thoughts, I also just work on. I mean, I work on the whole gamut. I work on looking at how it feels in your body and what kind of actions we can take together. If you want to work with me, I do offer 30-minute complimentary consultations, seeing if we're a good fit. And I really, my main goal really is to be helpful and to help you through the journey. If you want to get to the other side, processing and integrating and all that, I've been doing this for a long time, and I would really like to help people. That's my main goal, is being of service and being a teacher and a coach. So
Beautiful. Well, ladies, I so appreciate you for coming in, and Melissa for your dedication, and your husband. Big shout out to him getting you in here. People were like, "Where's Melissa?" So you might want to rewatch the beginning of the show so
so
you'll
okay.
get caught up and what we were talking about. But please, everyone watching now or in the future, if you feel that you need a clear direction, if you feel that you need some support, Meg and Melissa can support you in their own unique ways. And also myself, somatically, if you're curious about breath work or curious about Bali, please DM me. I would love to share more information with you. And thank you both, Melissa and Meg, for being here. And until next time, keep living with intention.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Be well.
Be well.